StraighTAllDay.com.
Let's talk about batching. Batching. Excuse me, that's bathing. Batching. So batching like a group of things, batching. Today we're going to talk about the value of batching and how you can actually start doing it, because all of you have some batchable activities that you do in your life, regardless of the nature of your work, business. Even if you have, maybe you don't even work. Maybe you're a stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home dad. Maybe you're retired. There is still value in batching. Maybe not retired people. Maybe you just like taking your time, but everybody else. Okay. This is one that I've always been into, this concept of batching. And I have leaned into this even more recently, which is why I'm talking about it, especially over the last several months, as I've looked into optimizing my effectiveness, optimizing my work time, and my overall workflow of how I get things done. So the concept of batching simply means taking a task that you know is going to be repeated, something that you are doing now, but you know you're going to do it again in the future, and you know you're going to have to do it often. And instead of doing it one at a time every time it comes up, asking yourself, how can I batch this to where I do a bunch of this thing all at once so that I got a bunch of it out of the way, so I don't have to keep coming back to it, let's say every hour or every day or every week or every month, whatever it may be. Now, not everything is necessarily batchable, but we'll get to that in a second. So similar to how people often ask me when they are a listener of this show, when they have a conversation with me, they'll say, Dre, do you record one new episode of your show every single day? The answer is no, I do not. I never record just one episode of this show. Hardly ever do I record just one episode. Every time I turn on the microphone or the camera to record, I record at least 2 episodes. Often I'm recording a lot more than 2 episodes. Today I'll probably record, let me see where I'm at. Today, given how much I've done so far and what I'm going to do all day, I may get 10 episodes recorded just today. So people ask me, do I do it every day? No, I don't. Several at the same time, sometimes 2, sometimes 3, sometimes 8, sometimes 10 in one session of recording. And I do that so that they can all come out and I don't have to keep recording every single day. What if I'm going on vacation? What if I just don't feel like recording? What if it's a nice day and I want to go out to the beach instead of recording episodes? I can get them all done in one day so that now the next 8 days or 7 days or 30 days or whatever are all freed up and I don't have to record again and the show can keep going. So my batches usually will have me recording several weeks ahead of time. As of today, when I'm doing this batch of recording, I'm about 50 episodes ahead of publishing, which means the episode that you're listening to right now was recorded about 50 days before you heard it. That's the good thing about having an evergreen content show, is that it doesn't matter when I record it, because the content is not based on current events or anything that happened yesterday or that is happening tomorrow. And by the time you're listening to this, a bunch of things have happened in the world that, as of this recording 50 days ago, I don't know about, but you know about. So my batches, again, as I said, buys me time. And nowadays, I used to try to record, let's say, a week or so worth of material at once. Now I've even gone further. I've quadrupled down on that and try to record a month worth of material. Maybe can't get it all done in one day. It might take me a couple days, but it knocks all the things out in one group. So now I don't have to worry about recording or worry about content at all for about a month before the next wave comes up. So that's part of batching. Now that's a form of doing it at a higher level than what I was doing before. Again, I took it from recording a week to recording a month. Now the same thing can be done with something such as post on your social media. Those of you who post to social media, those of you who write articles, you can do all of them at once. If you have emails that you want to send out, you can schedule them all at once. So the next 3 weeks of emails are already scheduled. There are some things that you cannot batch. However, not everything is batchable. You can't batch working out. Like if I go to the gym one time and get a month's worth of workouts done in one day, I would do it, but you can't do that. You got to go to the gym consistently. You got to work out every day. You can't really batch that. It's not something you can only do a whole bunch now and then not do anymore. Eating food is another one. You can't just eat a week's worth of food in one day and then you can fast for the rest of the week. Now, animals like lions and alligators, they can do that. But human beings, we tend to need to eat food. If you're eating food, you need to eat food pretty much every day. Brushing your teeth. You can't do 1 week's worth of teeth brushing in 30 minutes and then say, all right, I'm good, brushing my teeth for the next 7 days. Can't do that. But the things that can be batched, I'm going to argue that you should look to batch them as much as possible. And today I'm going to explain how you do it and why you do it. Point number one. Today's topic, once again, is batching, the value of it and how to start doing it. Number one, you want to do things in bulk all at once. This one I already gave you an introduction. So it's better to batch all these things and do them at the same time and get them all out of the way so you don't have to think about it again or do it again the next time that it allegedly or that it was coming up, depending on what you're doing. Again, it could be days, weeks, or months that you buy yourself by doing them all at once. This can seem like a strenuous task if you've never done it before. If you're used to recording an episode every day, and now I say, how about we just record 10 episodes today? So then you don't have to record anymore for the next 10 days. That may seem like an insurmountable task. That's a high bar that I'm setting for you to do. It seems like it. Okay, fine. Fine. It seems like it. It doesn't mean you shouldn't do it, and it doesn't mean you can't do it just because it's strenuous. Like when I first thought of, how about I record a month's worth of episodes over the course of like 3 or 4 days of recording? I thought, damn, that's a lot of recording. And the first day when I started doing it, I said, this is a lot of damn recording. But it's better than me doing it 4 times in a month for me to just do it 1 time in a month, at least in one set. Again, one set. That set could take multiple days. Now, this doesn't mean, again, that you shouldn't do it just because it's hard. If it makes sense, that's the exact reason why you should do it. So instead of spreading a task out over, again, multiple sessions and having to bring yourself back to the space or the state of doing it, knock it all out in one block while you are already in rhythm. That's the purpose of batching. That's the essence of what batching is about. Take care of all of these while I'm already in the rhythm of doing it. So since I already knocked out 3 emails in my inbox that I needed to reply to, I might as well just reply to all the emails in my inbox all at the same time because I'm already in the rhythm of responding to emails. So I move faster, I'm smoother, I'm more efficient. Speaking of all of that, let's move on to point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is batching, the essence of what it is, why it matters, and how to do it. Number 2, one of the main reasons that you batch what you do is, of course, the time saving of having to come back to the same thing again, but also is because of the mental focus of doing one thing at a time. This is the value of batching. The value of batching and doing it all at once is that mentally you're already focused on doing that thing. You might as well do a whole bunch of that thing while you're thinking about it instead of doing some of that thing now, then doing a bunch of other stuff, then coming back tomorrow or 2 days from now or a week from now, and then doing some of that thing again, then next week, some of that thing again. How about you do a month's worth of that thing right now so you don't have to think about it again for a month? Now, why does that matter? Why does the mental focus of doing one thing at a time matter? It matters a lot because all of you are familiar with, you've heard of the concept of multitasking, right? What does multitasking mean? It is actually a misnomer. It's an oxymoron. Multitasking is the idea that human beings can do more than one thing at the same time with focus. Now, you actually can do more than one thing at the same time, but you can't focus on more than one thing at the same time. So, for example, I can listen to music and work out at the same time because that's the reason why you have the headphones. I'm technically listening to the music. I can hear what's being said and I'm working out. Technically, is that multitasking? No, because what multitasking assumes is that you can focus on 2 things at the same time that require the same human senses, and you can't do that. So you can't be checking email and reading a book at the same time. What you actually are doing is task switching. You read a little bit of the book, then you check a little email. Then you read a little book, then you check a little email. That's task switching. Now, why does that matter? Because there are some humans out there, some of you listening to this right now, who you are probably task switching right now. And listening to me is not even one of the tasks that you're switching between. Listening to me is something that you're doing passively, but you're doing a couple things at the same time, like checking your email and driving a car. That's task switching. That's multitasking, and that's not a good idea. Now, let me tell you why it's not a good idea. Not because I think you're going to crash your car. I hope you don't. I like my listeners. It is because every time that you switch from one task to the next and then back to the other task and then back to the other task and back and forth, a couple things happen. First of all, it takes a certain amount of mental energy to revamp up the focus on whichever one you just came back to. So in other words, when you take you're doing one thing, you stop doing it and you start doing something else. When you come back to that first thing, it takes a little bit of energy to get your focus back up to where it was before you left it in the first place. So there's a little bit of energy that you lose in the process of getting back from 0 to where you were before. That's the number one thing. So you're losing mental energy. And number 2, you create friction. These actually are connected to each other. It creates a level of friction when you go from checking your email to scrolling social media, to checking your email to scrolling social media, you got to rebuild up the momentum of doing either task every time you go back and forth. And every time you revamp up that momentum, there's a little bit of friction because your brain has to keep switching from one task to the next, and it loses energy in that process. When you're driving a car and you put the car in drive and you're moving forward, then you come to a complete stop, you put the car in reverse and you go backward. The process of changing from drive to reverse and then back to drive, then back to reverse. Every time you shift gears, what you're doing is losing a little bit of energy. There's a little bit of friction that happens in that shifting of gears. Every time you switch from one task to another task, you are shifting gears. Every time that focus shifts, you are shifting gears, and the shifting of gears costs energy. Even the most efficient car in the world, probably one of these advanced electric vehicles, there is still a little bit of energy that gets lost in the process of shifting gears. Like turning the lights on and off, on and off, on and off. If you keep doing it, eventually you're going to short out the fuse of the light switch and the lights are not going to work at all because you shorted out because you shifted the gear too often and the gear got burnt out from too many shifts. That's exactly what happens to the human body over time. This is why humans tend to get slower and a little bit more creaky over time. This is why professional athlete careers are relatively short. This is why when you get to a certain age, you're old in sports, because the shifting of gears, especially anything that requires fast twitch muscles, everything from basketball to boxing to golf, you slowly break down your body to the point that it can't move as quickly anymore. And you got to walk away from the sport because the younger people who can still move quickly can beat you, even though they don't have you beat in skill. They got you beat in reaction time, agility, etc. That shifting of gears costs energy. Everybody understand what I'm saying here? So when you keep going back and forth, your email, knocking out one message or another, but you keep interrupting it by checking social media or checking your text messages, you burn up a little bit of energy. And this creates mental friction, brain friction. How many of you get to the end of your workday? Or not even end, you get to around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You get to around 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you start to feel mentally fatigued. How many of you have had that experience? That mental fatigue you start to feel after lunch, whatever time you eat lunch. So that could be 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock. After lunch, you start to feel that mental fatigue. Why are you feeling mental fatigue right after lunch? Why is this? It's not because it's the afternoon, not because it's hot outside, not necessarily because of the quality of the food that you ate. It could be a combination of those things, but the real reason why you feel mental fatigue after lunch is because you've been doing so much task switching, so much mental focus shifting, the shifting of gears between one task and the next. You've done it so often that you start to burn out the gears of your brain. The transmission of your brain, metaphorically speaking, is getting burnt out because you keep shifting gears. And the brain gets tired from doing all that damn shifting. If you had just did one thing all day up to lunch, after lunch, you still feel pretty refreshed mentally, even if you didn't get a lot of sleep the previous night. Why? Because you've been focused on one thing at a time, and the less shifting you do, the better chance you give your vehicle to cruise. You get into cruise control. You follow my metaphor here? All right, this is what I'm explaining to you when it comes to the brain. Doing one thing at a time saves the brain mental energy. The same way that any of you who's ever driven a car and put the car into cruise control. What is cruise control? Cruise control does not mean that the car is no longer moving. It does not mean that you're not using gas or electricity. All it means is you're telling the car, we're going to go at a steady pace. I'm not going to be pressing on the brakes or pressing on the gas at all. I just want you to go at a steady pace for the foreseeable future until I tell you to stop. Now, what does that do for the car? That allows the car to burn less energy. Now, why does a car burn less energy when it's in cruise control? Because you are not bothering the car anymore by pressing on the brake pad, which creates friction, or pressing on the gas, which also creates friction. To make it go faster, acceleration creates friction. And especially the way humans press on the gas pedal, it creates friction. And pressing on the brake pedal, that also creates friction. When you tell the car, go at 66 miles per hour, and if you want to go 67, you tell the car about a button, it increases it, and it does it a lot more effectively and more efficiently, let's say, when it comes to conserving fuel than you would. That's why cruise control saves power and it saves gas. And it's the same thing when it comes to the human brain. You can put your brain on cruise control by focusing on one thing at a time. Doesn't mean you're taking it easy and not doing what you need to do. It means you're focusing on one thing at a time. I believe it was, I read so many books, sometimes I get the concepts from books mixed up, which one I got it from. It was either Essentialism by Greg McKeown or this book called The End of Email by Cal Newport. I think it might have been Cal Newport's book, but don't quote me on that. Read both books and you figure out which one it came from. But in Cal Newport's book, I believe it was The End of Email, he said, that there's a company he knew about, and the boss of the company required all of his employees to spend the first 3 hours of the day only doing what they call deep work. I believe it was Cal Newport who came up with this. I think Cal Newport wrote a book called Deep Work. And let me check myself on that. I think that was Cal Newport. But anyway, while I'm looking this up, yes, Cal Newport wrote a book called Deep Work. So I'm pretty sure it was Cal Newport who said it. And what is deep work? Deep work means essential, important work for your particular job or business. And it means an uninterrupted block of time that is locked in stone for you to just do that and nothing else. That's deep work. Everybody understand this? So if your deep work is writing code, that means from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., all you do is write code. Nothing else is allowed to go on the calendar. It is blocked off. No one can schedule a meeting. No one can interrupt you. You're not responding to email. You're not taking calls. 9 to 12, you're just writing code. That's deep work. And it's uninterrupted. That's how your brain gets into cruise control. Does everybody understand this? The reason many people feel burnt out at the end of the day is because you're always switching tasks over the course of a day. But if instead you took a large block and just did one thing, your mental focus only on that thing, you would get that thing done faster, your work quality will be better, and you would save yourself a ton of mental energy. That's a win, 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 if you didn't catch it. You catch the win, 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 you get the thing done faster, number one, your work is better, number two, and you save yourself a lot of mental energy, number three. Win, win, win. Point number three. Today's topic, once again, is batching. How and why to do it, why it matters, why it is essential for you if you're serious about getting more and higher quality things done. How do you start? How do we start batching? First of all, pick one thing and block off time to batch that thing. Batch doing the work of that thing. One thing. What is that one thing for you? In my business, there are a few things. There's content creation is one bucket of things that needs to be done. Outreach is another bucket of things that needs to be done. There is client work is another bucket of things that needs to be done. And there is, well, there is sourcing our outreach as well. So I'll put that into one bucket. So outreach is finding the people to reach out to and then actually reaching out to them is a bucket of things. It's actually two buckets. Then there's the client work, people we're working with and things we do with and for them. And then there's the content stuff. And that's essentially what we do. And other than that, it's the sales stuff, which isn't always happening all at the same time. Those are the four buckets. And I know that. And I ask myself, all right, how can I batch these things? Almost all of those can be batched, depending on the way that you schedule and organize things. There's a book by Dan Kennedy called No BS Time Management for Entrepreneurs, where he literally tells you exactly how to batch everything that I just told you. Even though his business is different from mine, he tells you how to batch different aspects of your business and that everything is batchable if you decide that you're going to batch it. So pick one thing and block off time to just batch that. Choose something that you always mean to get to, like checking your email, creating content, calling clients, recording video, etc. Give it a full-time slot, multiple hours at a time, in which you only do that thing. And protect that time block as if it was a client meeting. So if you usually have a meeting with a client at 1 o'clock on Thursday, you don't just show up at 1:15 or just don't do the meeting because you were busy. You don't do that to your clients because they would fire you. They would no longer be your client. So the same way you put it on your schedule for your client, put it on the schedule for yourself and show up to it the same way you would as if a paying customer was showing up for that meeting. Can you do that? Of course you can do it. Now, that's a rhetorical question. Once you do it and you start to produce results doing that, build time blocks for other things that you need to do. And this is going to seem at first a daunting task because you're blocking off calendar time to do one specific thing while not doing a whole bunch of things at the same time, which is what you're used to. Once you start batching things, you're going to find you actually have more time on your calendar because those little things that used to take up small blocks of time are already done. You don't have to worry about them again until it's the next time to block them off, and you can start scheduling your blocks. Okay, I want to do this every Wednesday. I'm going to do this every other Thursday. I'll do this the first Tuesday of every month. Now you can start blocking these things off, and there gets to be more organization in your life. And this is what you want. More organization in your business, more organization in your life. So you're actually moving forward by starting out by what may feel like going backwards a little bit, because it's going to feel awkward when you first start doing it. For example, this particular week when I'm recording this, I've gotten about 8 hours of sleep every night this week from Sunday through, I'm recording this on a Friday. From Sunday through Thursday night, I got about 8 hours of sleep every night. It kind of feels weird because I'm not used to getting 8 hours of sleep. I'm used to getting somewhere from 6.5 to 7 hours of sleep every night. And that's not necessarily because I'm a parent with young children. It's because of my work schedule and my productivity schedule is that sometimes I go a little bit over time where I want to go. I have an optimal way I want to do things, but I haven't always lived up to that optimization because I've always found myself defaulting to trying to do more and more and more, but I've been pushing myself consciously to cut myself off at a certain time and get the important things done within the time frame I'm giving myself. So I've been able to get 8 hours of sleep. It actually feels funny when it's actually what it's supposed to be. What feels funny is actually normal. And you'll feel like it feels funny, but it'll start to feel normal. And this helps build rhythm and consistency into your output. It reduces friction. It reduces decision fatigue, which we talked about a few days ago. And it helps you stay ahead instead of getting reactive. See, what you don't want to be is reactive in your work. So speaking of this very show, I usually stay several episodes ahead of my recording. And again, I told you I'm about 50 episodes ahead right now. And that's with me not having recorded I didn't even finish recording my next monthly batch yet. And this episode is actually one of those monthly batches. And I'm not telling you that to impress you, but to impress upon you. You can do the exact same thing with your work. What are the things you know you had to do a ton of and you're pretty much going to be doing it all the time? Start batching those and do all of them at the same time. So you don't have to keep switching mentally between what you're doing, and you can save your brain a whole lot of energy. Let's recap today's class, which is batching, the value of it and how to start doing it. So what is batching? It means doing things in bulk all at once. All right, it's better to batch things together at the same time, get them all out of the way so you don't have to think about them again tomorrow or 3 days from now, or you're not doing them piecemeal one at a time. Just knock them all out when you're in that thing, when you're already in the zone. It's faster, smoother, more efficient. And point number 2, the mental focus of doing one thing at a time reduces the friction and allows you to put your brain on cruise control, in which it uses your fuel more efficiently. The same way that your car moves more efficiently when you put it in cruise control than with you slamming on the brakes and pressing on the gas pedal intermittently. Number 5, how do you start doing this? Pick one thing, block off a time to batch just doing that. Pick something that's important, essential, and that you know is repeatable and duplicatable. And when I say duplicatable, meaning you always have to do that thing, pick out a block of time, put it on your calendar the same way you would a meeting with a client. Do not allow anything to interrupt that. Block it off, it's written in ink, and only do that thing. It's going to feel funny at first, but you're going to start to realize the value of doing this. After you do it with that thing, do it with the next important thing and the next important thing and the next, until you have essentialized and blocked off and batched every important aspect of your work that you know you must do over and over again. Now you save yourself a ton of time. With all that said, inside of Work on Your Game University, I help you strategize on things like this. Strategize what can be batched, how to batch it, what exactly you're going to do during these batching times. How do we get it organized and set and scheduled so that the batching is actually saving you time instead of costing you time? Then how do we systematize this so we can figure out how this can happen over and over and over and over again, saving you time to do even more essential things and the variable things that you know inevitably pop up in every business and in every career. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com and have me as your coach, and let's get to work. Or you can bring me in to work with your team to do the same thing. That's workonyourgameuniversity.com for you individually, for your team, for your business. Workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre, all